When working with seam allowances, you're going to notice that you have markings on your throat plate in both directions, left and right. You have the metric that comes with the machine. So if you're not used to 15 millimeters being a 5/8 of an inch seam allowance here in the United States, you can purchase an Americanized with inches throat plate. So that's something you can get from your local Husqvarna Viking dealer. Now, another thing for following lines or seam allowances, and oftentimes I'll just take a seam guide, measure it, and go, oh yes, there, okay, there's an inch, or there's a 1/4 inch, or find which line you're going to follow. You can also take the included seam guide and slide it into the back of the presser foot. There's a little hole back here that'll allow you to slide it in. It's kind of tight because once you slide it in, you don't want it to actually be moving while you're doing it. So you can set up for the distance that you need. And then your fabric is just going to follow nicely along without you having to mark multiple things. And again, if you're going to do something where you're going to do multiple lines parallel to each other, instead of marking every one of them, you can mark one and then just keep continuing over and over and over. Nice parallel lines. Great for decorative stitches. Have you stitched out your decorative stitches yet? You should, because you'll really find how wonderful this machine is. So you could set this up for like so. Sew out a decorative stitch and then set it up to sew another one. Line the seam guide right up against the first row you just stitched, and they'll be perfectly parallel all along your fabric. Great, make yourself a great little reference book. Now, another thing about throat plates and seam guides, this throat plate has just a single hole, and if you purchase this, that single hole is for center needle position, straight stitch only. You can use the setup menu to tell the machine that this is on. There's a stitch width safety area, and they'll make sure you don't pick a zigzag and break a needle. It also has inches and metric on it as well, so that's a great thing to have if you're going to be doing. I love that for just piecing, machine quilting. Machine quilting makes this feel like you have a like an air hockey table when you go to quilt, because the fabric just glides across it, because the needle can go only in and out of that hole, and it kind of doesn't take the whole rest of the quilt and kind of dip it into that wider opening that the throat plate has when you have the full width of stitches for 7 millimeters wide stitches and things. Love this. If you're ever sewing corner to corner, like on a quilt, you know, in or a quilt piecing, and you're starting right at that corner, and sometimes that corner goes dipping down into the throat plate. Believe me, when you have a single hole, that needle is going to stab that fabric and won't let it dip down in here, and you won't have issues. You can start right at that corner and sew corner to corner. Super, super easy. So take a look at what your options are. Use your seam guide, and if you need those extra throat plates, they are available to you at your local store.